Welcome back to Utah's Gentleman Farmer. I'm Randy Vaudry and I'm the host of this YouTube channel. Now today I wanted to talk about something really interesting. As you know, part of the goal behind this YouTube channel is to find ways and perpetuate ways that allow us to be more mentally, emotionally, and socially healthy. And part of that, as I've done this research so that I can broaden my perspective, I've discovered some interesting research involving the Amish and anxiety and depression. It's interesting that anxiety and depression are virtually unheard of in the Amish community. Now, as they've done some research, they found several things that they believe contribute to that. And I've actually had an opportunity to think about this long before I started doing the research. In fact, that's what brought me to want to do the research, because I visited an Amish community a few years ago in Ohio, and I noticed some things about them. Some of the things that I noticed was, first and most prominent, is that they do not believe in using any kind of modern machinery, mainly anything that runs off of electricity. So the result is that they have a lifestyle that involves hard work, doing a lot by themselves, or not by themselves, usually as a community. That's one of the other things that is very positive. They do a lot as a community. They have barn raisings. They help each other build their homes. They help each other when it comes to harvest time, when they need to plow. Any kind of work that needs to be done, they do it together as a community. Now another thing, because they don't have electricity or use modern machinery, they don't have tractors, they don't have trucks, they don't have anything like that. Everything is pulled by horses. So because of that, everything has to be done by hand. They're pitching hay by hand, they cut their wheat by hand. Everything is very tactile. There's a lot of touch, a lot of physical involvement. And what that does is it causes them to be very tired at the end of the day. They work hard, they work physically. The other thing is, I have noticed, as I've pointed out in earlier episodes, there's a great deal of satisfaction that comes from doing something yourself. I find so much more satisfaction in raising my own peaches, picking them at the end of the year, and making them into jam. That is so much more satisfying and good for my well-being than going to the store and buying a jar of peach jam. Now, it's cheaper, it's a lot easier, but there's satisfaction that comes from that, especially if it's something that you really like. And I love peach jam, and the peach jam I can make is always better than what I can buy in the store. So I gain that satisfaction. That brings about well-being, emotionally and mentally. So some of the other things they do everything as a community, so they build those relationships. They build relationships with other people, with each other. They have tight-knit communities. Those relationships are very rewarding. And the reason I stress that is, in today's society, because we have access to electricity, because we don't work physically outside, we have a lot of free time, and we use that free time usually on electronic devices. We have big screen TVs, we have smartphones, we have laptops, we have all sorts of things to distract us from building those sorts of relationships. In fact, in today's society, we talk a lot about virtual relationships, virtual realities. I think it's more healthy for us to have real relationships instead of virtual relationships. You can't build a deep relationship with someone over Facebook. You have to engage with them. You have to do some things together. And again, it goes back to my desire to have family and friends involved in these activities. We build relationships, and they bring us a great deal of satisfaction, even if sometimes there are quirks in them. Another thing that's very positive is because they work physically, they're outside. They also do a lot of farming, a lot of building. They're a very agrarian society, and I've talked a bit about why I think that's such a positive thing. One of the great things about working outside a lot, as they do, is they get lots of sun. In our society, we've put so much pressure on staying out of the sun, being protected from the sun, that I think we're depriving ourselves of how critical it is to have the sun regularly on us. Because what that does is it stimulates your brain to create more serotonin. Serotonin, as we know, is a hormone or a chemical that the brain uses to calm us, to give us a feeling of well-being. And when we have ample serotonin, then we also generally have a feeling of calm and settledness. Now, all of this, I think we can gain from the Amish. This is the reason they don't have a lot of anxiety. They don't have a lot of depression in their communities. Now, the one thing that disappointed me a great deal from this research is scientists refuse to recognize the fact that we are spiritual beings, that there's a spiritual side to us, and that if we want to feel completely whole, if we want to feel well-being, then we need to nurture the spiritual side of us. I think science has run away from that, and that's why there's so much. Science is actually just downright embarrassed by the idea that we are spiritual beings. I do not like that. I think it's negative, and I think it's counterproductive. I'm a member of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, and I'm blessed to have a deep faith that is multi-generational. I believe in God. I believe that He's in control of things, and bad things may happen, but I find solace in my relationship with Him. Now, that's critical, because if we don't fill in all the pieces, we're never really going to feel whole. So, go ahead and do some of these things. Build relationships, get good physical labor, engage yourself in projects that are creative. Being creative is very satisfying. Also get plenty of sun and nurture the spiritual side to yourself. And I know that you will be happier, healthier, mentally and physically, and that you will feel a greater sense of wholeness in your life. Now, I hope you've enjoyed this video. If you enjoyed it, give me a thumbs up, subscribe, or maybe share it with a friend. I appreciate you being here. Be well and be safe.